No, don't launch Epic Games.
Are you streaming?
Yeah, I'm streaming. All right. Right, right. Where do I go to my actual stream page? This. All right, there we go. What's going on? So I got about hour 15, hour 30 here. We can chit chat. Ethereum's actually looking really good. Bitcoin Weekly's been saved. This looks good. This looks good. Oh yeah, it's not bad at all. All right, so I'll give it 3 or 4 minutes here, and then we'll start on the top down for Bitcoin, and then we'll look at Ethereum. Maybe a handful of these kind of high caps. I don't feel like that many are really worth looking at. SNX looks pretty good. Stacks, I definitely want to look at Stacks. Matic. GMX. Suppose that's about it. And then we'll look at the low caps I'm liking lately. 0x0, MPG, Ord, Pixia, Revest. Okay? Look at this 30-minute chart, dude. This looks crazy. Dare I say, we're about to keep ripping. What's up, Plaza? Yeah, we are so back, dude. You get any retests of these lows on Ethereum, just ape it. That's my game plan. Just ape it. In fact, I bought some in here. I sold out today for a quick trade. I feel like we could go higher, but I want to see if we get this retest first. How's Wu Trade looking? Not as good as Ethereum. I will say that. Not as good at all. Definitely a nice bottoming pattern, though. Wu Trade's going to go on a monster run in the next year, probably. As long as we maintain this base. Right now, it's really just a range trade, though. Switch trade looks fine. Where's a long-term chart of ETH? There we go. Yeah. Pretty much outlined this as best I could. Happened in one day, though, instead of a week. Classic. Daily looks good. But ETH BTC. ETH BTC chart's kind of crazy, actually. It's been literally sideways for like 2 years now. You just know the breakout on Ethereum in value compared to BTC is going to be massive, dude. It's like 0.25 BTC or some shit. It's going to be crazy. ETH DeFi is just unmatched. This quite reminds me of Bitcoin's consolidation from back here. Like this kind of slow triangle. Well, if we didn't have that one dump, this would look the same. What even was that? May 30th dump? This shit. That's crazy though that ETH BTC's recent lows was during this. And during all this, ETH BTC's actually risen and held value. It's feeling like Ethereum is the trade, dudes. It's really beginning to feel like Ethereum is the trades. $15.70. Oh my gosh, we just keep popping. Hey, what's up, T? Sorry about that. Just trying to convince my girlfriend to watch One Punch Man today. Trying to convince her to have some damn taste. But anyways, let's go ahead. We'll do top down on BTC. I think we'll do a full top down on Ethereum too, even though they're going to be very similar. And then we'll get out of here. Or actually, we'll look at low caps, then we'll get out of here. Okay. Which history do I want? I want Bitstamp, but I have drawings in there I don't want to get rid of. Maybe Bitfinex. That should still be good history. Yeah. Alright, so let's do this. Looking at the monthly for BTC, things look pretty mucky. We're kind of just sitting in the middle of no man's land right now. Right, we're trending below the 8 EMA, and the 8 EMA is coming down. We have a potentially bearish engulfing candle below our indifference candle here. But at the same time, we are retesting a really key level, right? This lower high back here. And we didn't quite get there, but the top of this engulfed candle at 18.5. So if during this consolidation we're going through right now, you know, the daily kind of looks like this. If we end up making a lower high in here, I'm expecting 18.5 to be tapped next. Okay. And then outside of that, we've got momentum that technically is still rising. Very just slightly, but it's still rising. The cycle is still coming up, although the green looks like it wants to roll. This more dynamic line here is starting to look like it does when it does this. But we'll see. For now, the monthly still looks alright. I'd give it super in the middle, like 50-50, neutral, bearish. And then, I mean, that's pretty much it. We can mark out the upside targets, but oh, my cat's about to go crazy. Obviously, the 25K highs, the old 30K support, and then like 31.8 to 32-ish. Right? Those are our key levels on the monthly. Going down to the weekly, I'm going to re-outline the levels, and then I'm going to get rid of them. So the low level is just kind of the high end, lower high here, as well as kind of this section of lows. Okay, that's a key pivot. That's where I think our next downside hold is, 18.5. It's also a really key VWAP level. I can go over later if you guys want, but you'll see it right here. This is the previous quarter's VWAP, and right now we just bounced off the previous quarter's value area high. I think I can throw those up on my chart, so we don't have to use the other one. Let's see, weekly, quarterly. And then let's zoom in so we can see this a little better. So, essentially, from, I guess, what's the last quarter? October, November, December. So, from this quarter, the average price was, and I'm also, let's see if I can get rid of the developing one so it's not so mucky. Previous period. I don't think I can get rid of the main period. Oh, well, that's okay. Anyways, let's just note that the developing VWAP and value areas are the ones right here that are changing. And that'll end when March ends, for Q1. And then the one that's not moving down here, this is the previous quarter's VWAP, value area high, value area low. And those kind of catch terms, value area high, value area low. It just means one standard deviation away from the VWAP, which is just the volume weighted average of price over that quarter. Okay? And we give a little bit more respect to the previous quarter's ones and the previous time frames one, same for the yearly, right? That key level I was talking about, 13.7K, that we rejected from, did a little over under. Okay, that was the previous year VWAP, right? That was a key level on the upside. And now I'm expecting this previous quarter to be on the downside. This is my call from even back here. And you can see exactly where we bottomed right off this previous quarter's value area high. That being said, if we can't hold that, value is going to want to pull back towards 16.5K. Okay, but the first pit stop before that would be 18.4K. So, if we end up rolling over, right, this was a pretty big bearish move. And in my model, when you have a big move like this and you retrace it, you tend to make a lower high about halfway up that bearish wall. So let's say we complete something like this and we go back down. Maybe we bounce from VWAP to value area high to low. And that would run, maybe we run some of the stops back here too. Okay, and then let's say we reclaim that, right? First target would be VWAP, second target, value area high, right? And we'd be having to trade this range again, the same way you basically did all of 2022. But anyways, that's the idea there. So for now, it still looks fine, okay? We held the value area high. We want to stay out of this range. Right, we really want to stay out of that range because once you get back accepted into it, it could take us months to get back out of it. So for now, I kind of skipped over the weekly, so we'll go back to that in a second. But for now, as far as VWAP goes, looks really good. We held the developing value area low. We held the closed previous quarter value area high. And now if we can get back above, tricky part now is you really need to get back above like 24K, right? That same yearly level, 23.7, up to this cluster of highs, right? We really need to clear that. So I know it's basically going to have to be new local highs before you can be confident in a new uptrend, but that's the way I'm seeing it right now. All right, we'll come back to some of the VWAP stuff again later, but let's go ahead and finish out the weekly with the Blockcircle model. So the weekly looks okay on Bitcoin. I'd say it looks a lot better on Ethereum. We'd really like to see this general region hold as support. And so far it is doing that, but I'd like to see us close all the way back above like 21.8K. Okay, because then it would just be a bullish retest of this BCI, run a bunch of stops, right? Get a lot of people bearish down here towards 20K, reclaim this low, hold the low, and then we can push up towards that yearly VWAP again, which is right around 23.7 to 24. Okay, so that's the main trade, I think, right now. If we hold in here, you're targeting up towards 24, 24.3. If you start to lose this, on the short side, you could target back down towards that quarterly value area. And then if you lose that, we're looking at 18.5 and 16.5, right? So this is essentially a big range. If we break back into it, I expect the low of the range to be tested. If we continue to hold it, then maybe we can continue to expand in the direction we originally broke out from. So we'll have to see. For now, I'd say the weekly is neutral to bullish if we can hold 21.5K-ish. Versus Ethereum is actually still really respecting this pivot with a nice long bottoming tail. So this looks a lot better. Combine that with Ethereum BTC also looking very strong the last like 6 months. I think if you're going to be long one or the other, I would rather be long Ethereum. I think I was on Phoenix. Can't read. There we go. But things I don't like on the weekly, I don't like momentum still falling. I don't like this cycle coming down. And I don't like that we're still trending below this BCI. Okay, so if the weekly closes above that, things look pretty good. If not, I'm expecting at least to revisit 20K again. Let's see if we can, I would even say that, disturbingly enough, the most similar comparison is really like in here. I mean, the way we kind of made this, we made this harsh new low, rallied all the way back up to the high, harsh new low, rallied all the way back to the high. It really looks like, especially combined with the whole bank run thing, that we were just about to fall off the face of a cliff. And I guess we still could. Tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow is a really big day because there's this, I don't know if you can call it an emergency meeting since it was planned, I'm pretty sure, a while back, but there's a big Fed meeting or something tomorrow. And essentially, we're going to figure out, is the government going to do some kind of bailout? Is it even necessary? What is the contagion going to be like for this bank going down? Who knows? We'll find out tomorrow. For all we know, these nice bounces on Bitcoin and Ethereum are just weekend dead cat bounces while every other market is closed. Trying to squeeze every last penny possible out of this market before it just nukes to oblivion. And to be honest, I'm kind of okay with whatever outcome it is, because if we nuke like this, I guess it's kind of a wild card, right? But if we nuke like this, I see no real alternative other than the government coming back in and turning on the money printers. It's either that or they're just going to let, let's say this big bank fallout leads to like a big 3 bank fallout, like Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. Is that going to happen? I'm not sold on it. I don't know if it's going to be bad enough that it's going to lead to one of those happening, but if one of those 3 goes under or starts to show signs of it, I don't see any way the government doesn't bail them out and turn on the money printer. And y'all remember what happened last time the money printer came on, right? We made fat stacks. So, if this happens again, if we get a big nuke, you know, to 10K or whatever from here, then it's really setting up for a crazy run into 2024, 2025. And even just narrative-wise, I mean, it's kind of backwards. Like, oh my gosh, the banks are crumbling. I gotta sell my decentralized hard money. It doesn't really make sense. It's so backwards to what Bitcoin is. And Bitcoin started after the whole Lehman Brothers thing and the housing market crisis back in 2008, 2009. This is like what Bitcoin is made for. So in theory, even if we don't crash to 10K, guys, you know, even if it's just this is setting up for a monstrous rally into next year in 2025. I mean, sure, it's still a risk-on asset, right? You know, if we risk off and things keep plummeting, Bitcoin's going to go right with it. But I expect the recovery for Bitcoin will be much, much swifter and stronger than any other market because, I mean, it fits the narrative. So we'll see if that really comes to fruition. Either Bitcoin's a success or Bitcoin's a failure, right? If it can't do its job during a situation like this, to me, Bitcoin's kind of not Bitcoin, you know? This is the whole point of it. So we'll be seeing soon. Tomorrow we should get some good answers, hopefully, on the outcome of all this bank run crap, but let's keep it simple. Back to technicals. On the weekly, below 21.5 to 21.8, below here is really bad. Okay, above there, I think we target 24K. Right, so this is kind of our range right now. All right, low end of the range is the daily 200, which you can't even really see because of my line, but the daily 200 at 19.7. It's not gonna, I don't have my settings right on this for quarterly. Here we go. The previous quarter's value area high, 19.8, up to, I don't think I have yearly on either. Goodness. Up to the previous year VWAP, which was 23.7. Okay, this was our big level pretty much the entirety of the year so far as resistance. And now, this is our big support. And this is kind of just our mid-range. Like that. So this is what you're trading right now. Directly in the middle, there's not going to be much edge. But if you can trend above that, I think it's reasonable to target up towards this. Likewise, if we reject here and make a lower high, we can't get back above the old support. I think at the least, you know, we're going to retest 20K again. And then below there is when things get really mucky, right? 18.3 minimum. And then range low is like 16.5-ish, right? So pick your range. And in some ways, I mean, this is essentially the range, right? And we'd like to stay in the upper half of that. Just like in this range, we'd like to stay in the upper half of this for continuation, right? We want to stay above really just 20K and maintain, ideally, you know, break back above 21.7, start to make some higher lows, right? And then ideally we get back above this 23.7. But unless it comes out with the whole bank run shit that Bitcoin is looking really, really good, you know, it turns out it's a big non-event, or, you know, the government's going to turn on the money printer, or, you know, whatever happens from this, assuming it's half decent for Bitcoin, then I think there's a good chance the low is in. But either way, I think that we're going to chop a lot all the way through the summer. I mean, I just think that sounds like maximum pain to me, right? Keep it range bound. Chop everyone both ways. And then finally start to send it into the holiday season, setting up for a good run into the Bitcoin halving, followed by a nuke, and then a big run to the end of 2024. That's kind of my big picture view, right? We range here, or if the bank run shit turns really good, maybe we can escape from this range early. Likewise, if it turns really bad, then we're going to escape in the opposite direction probably. Okay, oh, it's either going to go up, it's going to go down, or it's going to go sideways. Well, those are the facts, right? I think most likely we just chop around, but, you know, with what's going on right now, it could just be, all this guy has to do, Powell, one sentence, 2 sentences on live TV, we could be 20% either direction. So, when things are that risky, for most people, sorry about the animals, it's really best just to not be trading right now. No bark. He's just sleeping. Let him sleep. But yeah, for most people right now, it's probably best to preserve capital and just not trade. Pretty much the whole bear market, I had this idea that once we reclaimed the monthly 8 EMA, I would start to flood some cash back in from my bank into crypto. But it's really just not been feeling like the right idea. You know, we were above the 8 in here. I considered it, just not really feeling right. Here we are, back below the monthly 8, getting chopped around, and I'm still just not feeling it. So, I'm choosing not to trade with a lot of my money. What I do have in crypto is mostly in low caps. And then I got a little bit of cash. You know, if we get a nice setup on the high cap stuff, like yesterday, I took a little trade on Ethereum just from the lows down here to like where we are now. Not looking for anything more. Just a quick trade. That's about all I'm looking for on high caps right now. And then low caps, for pretty much this whole year, the goal is to accumulate projects. Bless you. I think I heard a sneeze. Accumulate projects that are setting up for a good run into next year. And right now, my favorite one, again, is 0x0. We can take a peek at that. I really like MPG, but, you know, there's been some shady stuff going on with the Amplify team right now, and MPG is run by someone who's with the Amplify team, I think. So, not so sure how I feel about this one anymore. I did sell a fair bit of my holdings today. But, you know, it still looks half decent. And then Ordinals. I think Ordinals could be really, really big if the whole DeFi NFT narrative on BTC actually takes off. And I'm like 70-30 on it. You know, like 70% of me is like, yeah, this is absolutely going to take off. Everyone who missed DeFi and NFTs and all that shit on Ethereum, or felt like they were late to it, they're not going to want to be late to it on BTC, so they're going to flood in. The flip side is, why would we do DeFi and all that stuff on BTC? It already works great on Ethereum. It already works even better on L2s. Why would we bother with Bitcoin, which is, you know, Bitcoin's pretty slow. I wouldn't say it's expensive, but it's definitely pricier than a lot of these L2s. Why would we use Bitcoin for this stuff? Just because, oh, but it's Bitcoin, you know, if it can have smart contracts and stuff, it should. I guess so. But the 30% in me, not sure I buy it. But since I'm 70-30, I still lean more towards it actually happening than not. So I have a pretty decent sized bag of Ordinals, and I would like to pick up a bag of stacks. But I'm just not sure. I really want to see how this whole bank run crap turns out. But if it's gonna hold, this is a really good level to do it. right? Like, we're right back at the, oh, I had a little box outlined. Nice. We're right back at the daily bands. Pi is down here a little lower on the 4 hours, so maybe we retest like 50 cents. But this is a good level. This is a really good level for stacks. What I would like to see now, are you guys hear my dog going crazy? Relax. I would like to see a bullish engulfing now on stacks above like 65 cents. Okay, if we can do that and then make a higher low, you know, this shit might just gun back for new highs, assuming Bitcoin holds up pretty well. But I'm getting just a tad bit ahead of myself once again. But I guess not much more to say about BTC. You know, the big play right now would be shorts into 21.5, 21.6, targeting 20K and 18.5 and 16.5 if things get really nasty. And then the flip side would be bid 20K looking for 21.8 as well as 23.7 to 24K. Okay, so these are the trades to be taking right now. Just keep it level to level, guys. Don't be looking for some generational long on this or that. Level to level, right? I bid some here on Ethereum. We got to pop up. I sold out. Likewise, you test this, you fail, short, back down to the lows. Simple trades like that, right? You know, we break above here, we retest it and hold, targeting the next big pivot. Simple trades, guys. That's all we're looking for right now. And then if we can break out of this big range, you know, maybe we can look to hold some swing trades. But for now, I think it's sketchy enough that you take what you can get, right? But I guess that's about it on Bitcoin. I don't really have any more to say. A lot of it is probably just going to depend on what happens with this SVD bank or whatever, you know. So we'll keep an eye on things. I guess we won't really know anything big until tomorrow. I mean, stocks will open tonight, so maybe that'll give us a little indicator. We should probably look at stocks also, because if there's anything that fits the bearish bias right now, it's the stock market. Because there's a lot of crap going on here, right? Let's just focus on like the simple stuff, okay? We topped out back here. We had this insane run. Oh, we don't need volume. This insane run from the COVID lows, right? Every single bearish candle would still be a higher low. Every one of them. Until about here. Okay? This is the point where the trend changed at the start of 2022. And now since then, we've got the exact opposite happening. Every single bullish candle is just faded into a previous bearish candle's lower high. We have not had a significant bullish engulfing yet. So that's not looking good, bruv. And line that up with the monthly bands looking like the edge of the abyss. You know, this is essentially what happens if you break the bands, right? So we could very possibly be here right now. We get the big bank run, like we're talking about, and then up only continues. Good for Bitcoin. Bad for Bitcoin at first, but then very good for Bitcoin long term. Same thing happened back in 2001. Oh, I've still got them outlined. Nice. Right, the cycle and momentum stuff is lining up just like it did back then. We've got this massive drop in momentum. A little attempt to echo bounce, which is what we saw just here. Massive drop. Little attempt to echo bounce. Massive drop. Little attempt to echo bounce. We have the same momentum pattern as we did during the 2008 crash and the 2001-2003 crash. So I would argue stocks actually look really bad. But it's a bit preemptive, okay? Until we lose like 3,500 on S&Ps, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But, you know, if we can't hold around there, I mean, this is going to start looking really gross and very reminiscent of 2008. Right? And you can see it's the same on the weekly too, right? Trying to hold the 200, still can't break a pattern or lower highs. Trying to hold the 200, still can't break a pattern or lower highs. I mean, it's disturbingly textbook compared to the last major crisis we had 15 years ago. So that definitely concerns me a bit, especially with all the fundamental stuff going down with the bank run, with, you know, USDC, all these different banks are involved in this bank. And even more so, not just banks, but tech companies are very heavily involved with this bank too. You know, given it is Silicon Valley Bank, some shit could start to look really bad for big tech companies, and that's going to bring S&Ps down. S&P is going to bring the world down, including Bitcoin. Most likely, right? Most likely. Likewise, the dollar has basically made a big higher low. That being said, no full bullish engulfing, right, until the dollar breaks 106. So that could be setting for a nice fake out. And we need the dollar to go down. We need the value of the dollar to go down. I mean, I guess let's not put an end all be all on it, but if Bitcoin's going up, there's a very good chance that the dollar value is going down. Or at the best, 2016 we still had a good run, and the dollar pretty much just range traded. So, that could be fine too. But ideally, the best parts of the last two bull runs has been the dollar going down, and the end of those bull runs have been the dollar bottoming. Okay? Start of 2018. Start of 2022. Okay? And then, of course, when Bitcoin was created was after all this nonsense. So, things we're looking for. We're looking for dollar down. We're looking for stocks to escape their intermediate term downtrend, which is going to take a lot of work from here. And we're looking for, the same things we were just talking about on BTC. Right? You're pretty much trading the range. You're trading this range, or you're trading this range, all inside of this range, right? Take what you can get. You get a move from one to the other, take the gains. You get a move from one to the other, take the gains. You get a move from the bottom of one to the mid-range, take some gains. Just keep it simple. And in my opinion, it's a lot easier to take the small gains there when you have long-term investments and stuff that you think will do very well if we just continue going up. Okay? So I'm not too worried about bidding here, taking profit on my Bitcoin long here, and then Bitcoin just rips, and I miss out on that. Well, if Bitcoin just rips, most likely a handful of my low cap chips are gonna also be going up. So you keep making money, right? And yeah, that's pretty much the game plan for me, guys. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to put it in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Ethereum now. It's been a while, but we're going to do a full top down on Ethereum. Let's just get rid of everything. So obviously, very similar to BTC. Momentum is rising on the monthly, but just slightly, right? We really need to hold where we just held to stop the monthly from looking really gross again. The cycle's coming up, so that's fine. The dynamic line does look like it maybe wants to roll over here, but for now, it still looks okay. We're still respecting the monthly engulfing on BTC, or sorry, on Ethereum, just like on BTC. Right, lower high, lower high, lower high, boom. Big shift in market structure. And now we've retested the top end of this candle that got engulfed. Right? So for me, this looks a lot better than Bitcoin. Now, as far as EMAs go, much like Bitcoin, we're sitting right around the monthly 8 and we're trending below it and it's coming down. Okay? The majority of the run that we want to catch is when the 8 EMA is not only rising, but we're trending above it, and the 8 EMA is trending above every other EMA on our chart. So we are essentially here, or maybe we are somewhere in here, but we're definitely not here, right? And we certainly could still be somewhere in here. We want to see this 8 EMA. We want to see, first off, we want to see this come down and wrap back up above all these other little bearish EMAs in here. Okay, that's what we want to see. And for that to happen, price is going to have to start to trend above it. And right now, price has been doing this. We got above it a little bit. Now we're back below it. We're just kind of mucking around. We need a move like this, really Ethereum back above 2,000, to kickstart this big new uptrend. For now, we just don't have it. It looks decent, but we're not quite there yet. And it shows even more when you start to go to the weekly and see all the EMA resistance that's still above us. Right? Very clearly, different kind of market structure than we want to see from a bull market. Right? Clearly, this looks a lot different than this and this. That being said, this becomes the bottom. That's great. So very, very likely this can be the bottom. But this is 2019. The big meat was 2021. 2 years, right? So you got to be prepared for a lot of boredom. Okay, and next Bitcoin halving is over here. So we could very well just sideways pretty much the rest of the year, pop before Bitcoin halving, nuke after the halving, and then continue up the end of next year into 2025. That's pretty much my simplest game plan. You know, maybe instead of sideways, it goes down, then sideways, and then up. Maybe we pop up here, then go sideways, then pop for halving. But that's pretty much my thesis. I think this summer, even if we nuke now, even if we pump here, I think this summer is going to be a lot of chop. Just boring sideways. You know, people are going to be chasing the volatility that we got at the start of this year, and they're going to get chopped to smithereens. But anyways, I digress. The bull case for Ethereum, we really got to get back above 2,000 to 2,200-ish. Okay, so that's the longer term bull thesis for Ethereum. And for now, we really just want to stay above like 1450. So if we get a retest here in the coming days or weeks of 1450, I think a long like this makes sense. One, going to the top of this range, and the second one would be going to 2,000-ish. Okay, so something like this. All right, 2.25, 2.35R, 4.8R, two pretty good risk-reward trades, and really simply defined risk, right? If we start to lose 1350, then things are going to get pretty gross. You know, I think we could be all the way back down here to $1,000. And then likewise, you know, you could even split it into 3 if you're wanting to, you know, split your risk up, right? Have most of your size with the wide stop and a loose target. And the more risky one is a wide stop and a looser target. And then the most high risk would be you retest this low. Let's say you hold it on, you run some stops, you hold it, you reclaim on lower time frame, and you get a little breakout on the hourly or 15-minute. You could take a trade like this, which is going to be much higher risk reward, 2.9 to 6.5, but you run the risk of getting stopped out on a fake out here that doesn't break the wick we just saw today. So these are some options for Ethereum trades. I think for now, we simply be patient, let tomorrow play out, and see where the Fed's at and all that crap. And if things continue to look good, I think we just treat this as a stop run, right? And the uptrend should continue, right? Keep making higher lows in front of here, and then push out here before the chop of the summer. Flip side of that is, of course, you lose this, you fail to break back into it, and then you chop somewhere down here or down here, depending on how bad this week goes for the banks and all that crap. Okay, but all in all, it definitely looks better than Bitcoin. That's something we can say for sure. It looks better than Bitcoin. And Ethereum BTC, as I mentioned earlier, looks extremely good. You know, if we just blacked out, if we just blocked out all of this, which I'm not saying to do, this is very valid, so we're not really blocking it out, but it looks like a textbook ascending triangle. So I'm absolutely seeing, going into Bitcoin halving next year, I'm seeing moves up to here. And I could genuinely see this making new highs this run. If there's ever a bull run again where Ethereum makes new highs in relation to Bitcoin, I think this is the one. Okay, last big cycle, we saw the spawn of DeFi, right? We had DeFi summer in 2020. We had all these new applications of DeFi. We had a lot of applications that have never been seen before. Well, now they've been seen, they've been worked on, they've been improved on, they've been launched on different layers, they've been manipulated and used in different ways. We're seeing the second stage, or really even the third stage of DeFi start to play out. So this cycle, we should see projects doing stuff in DeFi that actually makes a big difference. You know, we only really saw a handful of stuff last cycle, in my opinion, that made a lasting difference. Stuff like Aave and Curve, you know, Uniswap, SushiSwap. That stuff made a huge difference, is still used, and will continue to be used into the next cycle. A lot of the new applications of DeFi, think like Strong, that stuff, it pretty much just failed, right? Like a lot of that stuff is just not going to be used again. But the ideas behind it will probably be relaunched and used in different ways. So my big goal is to look for new staples of DeFi. That's one reason I'm so big on 0x0, is I think that privacy is extremely undervalued right now. And privacy has always been this kind of hit or miss thing in crypto. Either, like with regards to Monero, right? Either privacy is the next big thing. It's actually such a no-brainer long that it's kind of batshit to even not be involved, right? It just makes sense. Privacy and crypto should go hand in hand. But on the same side of that, transparency and crypto also go hand in hand. You make a transaction, everyone in the world can see it. Everyone can point it to this address and see it goes to this address and this and that. And it was this price and all that crap. That is like the fundamentals of blockchain, right? The flip side of that is, you know, be your own bank, right? Privacy. This should also go hand in hand with crypto, but it also goes hand in hand with the government not liking it, right? The government doesn't like crypto. They definitely ain't going to like crypto where they can't watch or see exactly where it goes, what's being done to it. So it's either the best thing ever, or if you're involved in private crypto, you're going to be hunted. I'm not saying the government's coming to your house with damn guns or anything, but, you know, like we're seeing a lot of addresses that are involved in Tornado Cash. That shit gets blacklisted, right? You know, if ever the IRS and stuff like that catches up to the technological capabilities of tracking blockchain properly, Like right now, I can't imagine my IRS agent is looking at my Etherscan address. You know, he's not watching what I'm doing in DeFi. But if they ever do, everything I've done is public. So, like I said, privacy is either going to be a huge hit or a huge miss. Either it's going to have the government on your ass because you're trying to hide stuff from the government, or blah, blah, blah. Or it's going to become, holy shit, the government is trash, right? I'm tired of everyone seeing what I'm doing. I'm tired of people following my address. I'm tired of getting front run by MEV bots and all that crap. Privacy is the best thing ever. Thus, we have a new narrative. A privacy decentralized exchange, or a private decentralized exchange, where you can trade assets across all chains without being tracked with what you're doing. That being said, the another big plus to this is a mixer, where I want to go from Ethereum to, I don't know, Uniswap tokens, but I don't want anyone to know I'm doing it. So you use a mixer. You mix Ethereum and a little bit for a fee, and then you mix it into, what did I say? Uniswap. And there's no transaction on the blockchain that publicly shows what you're doing. It takes your Ethereum, your one Ethereum, it splits it up into a million little pieces, and then it accumulates a little million pieces of Uniswap token, and it brings it all back on a new address. That is a very botched explanation of how that works, but that's essentially how that works, right? And so these guys have that going for them. They got the mixer going for them. They got a private DEX going for them. They're going to be having they have a smart contract auditor, which is also huge. I mean, think about how many times you want to ape something, but you're just worried it's going to be a honeypot, or that the master contract will just change your taxes to 100% so you can't buy or sell anything. All this kind of stuff, you're worried about it. Well, boom. The smart contract's live on Uniswap. 5 seconds later, you're plugging the smart contract into the auditor. 10 seconds later, you have a full PDF explaining what could be or isn't wrong with that smart contract. And then a minute later, you're aping if you think it's good, right? To me, that's a lot of value for $1.7 million market cap, fully diluted already. This is the best part. It's not 1.7 million and then 30 million fully diluted. It's all fully diluted. The only downside is it's super illiquid, right? If you want to get in, you want to get out, you want to buy 5K, it's going to look like this. You want to sell 10K, it's going to look like this, right? So you're not putting in money that you need for rent next week. You're putting in money that you want to increase massively if this bull run and if these narratives continue to fruition. So I won't go any more over this one. I mean, what's there to even say? The chart is pure porn. Okay, oh, nice. I've got some good outlooks for it. So we just had one of the worst crashes in crypto. I mean, it's not that bad, 25K to 20K, but with all that's going on, this is definitely one of the top 5 worst times in crypto. Definitely wouldn't say it's as bad as the COVID crash. I wouldn't say it's as bad as May 2021. It's not as bad as 2018, but it's up there in top 5. You know, there's a lot of crap going on right now. So to have a project that still looks like this during all that, to me, it says a lot. And every time it pukes, I mean, you can count a dozen pukes in here, right? It gets puked, it gets bought up. It gets puked, it gets bought up. Puked, bought up, puked, bought up, puked, bought up, puked, bought up. Every single time, puked, bought up. And it's not being bought up on $1 million. You know, this is a reasonably small amount of money to keep it afloat. Well, what happens if we've nuked, 20%? Some people have just made millions of dollars on their shorts, and they're looking to redeploy a tiny percent of that to low caps. Why not the best looking low cap out there right now? You know, what other low cap has a chart that looks like this? Not very many. Most look like this at the best. You know, they had a huge run up start of the year, and they've retraced and gone sideways or pretty much pulled back all the way. That's how most low caps kind of look, right? But not this one. So, what did you miss? You didn't miss anything, brother. We're just getting started. Does this blocker make it easier for scams to get rid of their stolen crypto? A blocker? I'm not sure about that, but I think I get what you're saying, and yes, it does, but that is already going to happen. You know, things like this, not only do they already exist with Tornado Cash, mixers already exist, and they're going to exist, most likely. You know, if this one gets banned, another one will pop up, right? People want to mix their tokens, and especially, like, you're talking about bad actors. But good actors also want to mix their token. The same way that people are avoiding taxes with Bitcoin and this stuff, those are bad actors. But there's good actors making use of it too. So, yes, it could make, you know, mixers do make it easier for scammers to get away with their money. But it also protects good citizens too, in the same right. So, you know, it's true equality. You know, there's people that, just like there's people that are using hard cash to fund cartels and to pay people to murder for them and shit like that. You know, that's all done with cash. But cash is also used, you know, to pay for cancer treatments and to pay your rent and to save your loved ones from this or that. So, for sure, there's good and bad sides to it. But I think that makes it even better of a narrative, if you ask me. You know, everyone wants to use this. Everyone would want this to be successful. What's up, Aura? But yeah, you didn't miss too much. We just talked about ETH BTC looks very good. Ethereum looks better than Bitcoin. And then I guess the big takeaway is that we're essentially in, I need a chart I haven't drawn on. We're essentially in two big ranges right now for Bitcoin, right? There's this range, and then there's this range, and then we're all inside of this range, right? So the bulls really want it to stay above here, and the giga bulls really want us to reclaim here and expand above here. And then the bears are going to want to see a lower high in here. They're going to want to see us re-enter this range for a move down to the lows, and they're going to want to see us lose the mid-range of this big range, right? So, big takeaway is trade it level to level. You get a bid down here, don't be stingy, take profits here, right? You get a bid here, we start to lose it, don't be greedy, cut that shit, wait and see how it resolves. We start to lose this level, don't be stingy. If you bought back here, cut your long, right? That's really all I'm looking at on Bitcoin. What does 0x0 have to do with privacy? All right. I'll give one more spiel simply because the people in here that have heard it are probably tired of it. But smart contract auditor, big win. They're building out a private version of Uniswap, 1inch, stuff like that. I can't remember if it's going to be an aggregator or if it's going to be like its own one exchange. But they're going to allow you to transact on decentralized exchanges in a private manner. So you go and swap Ethereum to USDT, no one's going to know. No one's going to see it. On top of that, they're going to have I think it's already live, a mixer where you could mix your tokens. So once again, you could swap one Ethereum for USDT. It'll take your one Ethereum and split it up into a million tiny little Ethereums, and it'll scatter them out. This is a very shitty representation of how this is done. And then they'll all come together back into your one Ethereum worth of USDT on the address you want. But tracking this is going to be impossible, right? You know, you have to track all these little ones, where they're going, all back into this one transaction. As far as I know, this is the basis for how it works. I could be massively butchering that explanation, but, you know, essentially you can mix your coins, thus that you turn one coin into another without anyone seeing what you're doing. Get Basil to add a TLDR. All right, that's fine. I'll reach out to him about it. Oh, and Don makes a good point. I kind of forgot about this, but 0x0 was accepted into Shibarium's Spring 2023 editions or whatever. So, from what I've seen, 0x0, or I think some people are calling it OXO, I don't know which one's correct, but it'll be the first privacy narrative coin on Shibarium. So all these big sheep whales, you know, these guys are loaded, making stacks. They want to have some privacy exposure, and they want to stay in the Shibarium ecosystem. They're going to buy 0x0. And that's what I'm thinking. I haven't looked at stuff like level. Level's tricky for me. You know, this shit has already gone up unbelievable amounts. I mean, Arthur Hayes was talking about buying this at 10 cents at the start of the year. And it's dumped 50% and it's still $6. So, I don't know. It still looks good, right? You know, you had a little bit of a downtrend here that you've kind of escaped from. Maybe you're starting a new uptrend. So, you know, as long as this low holds, you could bid the higher lows. Take some off, bid the low, take some off. You know, you could play this. I think it's fine. You just got to keep in mind it's $25 million market cap, but it's $300 million fully diluted. Okay, so it's already at a pretty crazy valuation. Is that not going to take massive amounts of fees? I don't believe so. I think it's already live, and I don't think the fees are anything crazier than a regular Uniswap transaction. But don't quote me on that. I haven't used the mixer myself. I've been kind of waiting on that stuff to actually use their apps. I would like some more audits to come out. I'd like to see a decent number of people really start to use it before I dip my hand. I don't mind holding the token. You know, the token could be a rug or this or that. Actually, I don't think it can because I'm pretty sure liquidity is locked and the smart contract is renounced. But that's a big risk. Holding the token's a big risk. I don't really want to open myself up to the smart contract risk of using their stuff before I'm really confident that it's okay to use. Because, you know, wouldn't that be kind of ironic? The smart contract auditor privacy coin ends up being a rug or ends up having a buggy smart contract. I feel like that's so ironic that it could actually happen. So I haven't used this stuff yet, but I've not heard anything like the fees are outrageous. Let me message Basil real quick or I'm going to forget. There we go. Do I give a sneak peek? The question now is, do I give a sneak peek of the Blockcircle data analytics, investment analytics platform? That is the question. Do I give a little sneak peek of the platform? Maybe not. Maybe we don't do that yet. Maybe we just leave that as is, and maybe we'll come back to that when we're ready for that. So exciting. But I think we'll leave that for another stream when we're getting a little bit closer to launch. But be certain, the blockchain data analytics platform is coming, and it's coming very soon. And it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be so sick. Basil's let me play around with it the last couple weeks. It's so dope, guys. It's so dope, and there's so few people doing what we're doing. You know, you think about Glassnode and CryptoQuant and all them, like, they have such a gigantic share of the market, and we're gonna have tools, and we're gonna have, what's the word I'm looking for? We're gonna have things on our platform that they don't have. You know, being hundreds of billions of dollars, they're not gonna have it. He's gonna kick you out of the group. There has been discussion of you being kicked, my friend. There's been slight discussion of you being kicked from the group, but we're mostly jesting. We're mostly jesting. Mostly. But that's pretty much all I had to talk about. I mean, we could talk about some of these, but I'm not sold on some of these. Like MPG, I really love the idea, and I love the valuation, But Amplify been doing some kind of weird shit lately. The out of nowhere flush of their liquidity pool. Like, this literally just came out of nowhere. And people freaked. Because it looked like it just got rugged. And then they announced, oh, well, we're just relaunching the project as Root. And we're also going to have another public sale. Like, why? Why? I don't know. So, these guys are involved in MPG. So, if this is fine, if there actually is something going on with the team, they're just doing something they felt like they needed to do, then it's a non-event, MPG's fine. But if they end up, if this is actually a real rug, and them launching Root is just another way to get the last bit of money they can out of their projects, then this is probably going to go to 0 too. So, I was kind of heavy on this. I had maybe like, I won't go into specifics, but I had a decent amount of this project, and I've cut that in half, basically. I did keep my Igloo, just as a kind of another bet that it's going to be alright. But I kind of wanted to reduce my risk a little bit, just because the Amplify thing is pretty sketchy. And then moving on, Ordinals, we already talked about that. That's the Ordinal narrative. Either the Ordinal narrative is going to be a big one, and this is going to be a huge runner, or it never comes to fruition, and Ordinal projects just slowly rug to 0. I'm confident enough that it's going to be a narrative, though, so I'm keeping this one. AI is a pretty good narrative, and not just that, but the Pixia chart looks pretty good, escaping the downtrend here, slowly making higher lows and higher highs. Sorry about that. Just had to say goodbye to my lovely girlfriend. But, yeah, AI narrative seems very strong. Again, I don't feel the need to have extra exposure to AI coins, given that my main holding right now is part of the AI narrative, but I could not. The chart looks so good. So I still got a holding in this one. And then one of my really longer term bets is Revest. And this is kind of reliant on the whole liquid staking derivative narrative taking off. I wouldn't say I'm the most confident in it, but the tech is really cool. The whole you can get your yield before you actually get your yield thing, I think it's really dope. And I like this kind of pattern of higher lows, It's not the prettiest chart, but this uptrend is still very much intact. So, I could see this easily expanding towards 20 cents at some point this year. So, I've still got a bag of this one. If we get back towards like 0.03 down here, I might double up on Revest because my bag is not too big. No girlfriend stream? There ain't no reason y'all need to be hearing my girlfriend's voice. Back the fuck off. You feel rugged. Get out of here. But, anyways, yeah, that's pretty much my spiel for the low caps. And if you guys are in the chat, none of this is new to you. You guys have already heard my spiel a billion times probably, but I'm holding these for some big, big gains, right? Like, most of the stuff I'm in for the intermediate to long term. Unless they explode, right? If they explode, obviously, you're going to take some profits. And then for my centralized exchange funds, I'm just playing it, like I said earlier, level to level, right? I bid some Ethereum down here, sold it all out in front of Pi on the 1 hour, right? You get the retest. I'll probably re-enter, honestly, if we retest this level and we hold. And then if we lose that, it's a cut. Nice and simple, level-to-level trades. In my opinion, those are the only ones to be had right now on Bitcoin and Ethereum outside of, if you sold good up here, this makes a good dip to buy, right? Like, that's obviously, if you're accumulating long-term, I wouldn't be trading this around at all. I would just, buy some 20K BTC and hold it. But if you're trying to buy some 20K to sell at 22 or reaccumulate at 21, right, just trade it level to level. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Damn, I was hoping I could catch my girlfriend before she left, but anyways. So, yeah, you guys have any question about charts? Anything you guys want me to look at? Only been in here about an hour. Got a little bit longer I could go. Although I'm about 10 minutes away from shitting myself, so it's gonna have to be reasonably quick. What else was it? There was one other coin I definitely did want to look at though. What was it? Damn, I can't remember. There's definitely one other. I did want to look at GMX. That wasn't it, but I do want to look at that. Damn, this came back to 50? Shit. That would have been a good bid. I guess that's because that GLP on GMX has such a massive portion of USDC. I bet there's a lot of freak out over that. But funny enough, GMX is still holding trend, right? This is the big trend. And we have still respected this last higher low, from a closing basis at least. So if we can now escape this little downtrend on GMX, if we can start clearing 75 again, I think it's back to up only for this one, genuinely. But if you guys know my position on this, I don't hold any of this spot. I have ES GMX that you get when you're holding GLP, and I held GLP for a while back in 2021, 2022. So I have a bunch of escrow GMX that you can use. It's constantly earning rewards. I think I'm getting AVAX for it, and I'm getting more GMX, which gets locked up. You get multiplier points. It increases your yield, blah, blah, blah. But you can turn this into regular GMX. It just takes a year. So, and you don't earn yield, I'm pretty sure, while you're waiting. So I'm thinking that I will unlock mine probably the end of this year and look to sell it about 6 months after Bitcoin halving next year. So ideally, that'll look something like, gosh, I don't even know. Either we lower high and we consolidate into the rest of the year, or we continue to break out and then maybe we consolidate before Bitcoin halving or whatever. I'm expecting this to be a couple $100 come the end of next year. So I will likely turn my escrow GMX into GMX into this year and look to sell it a year later somewhere up here. That's my play on GMX, but that's a very long-term play. The more short-term play is just something like this. And then a more high-risk one would be something like this. Okay? These are my two plays on GMX right now. Or if we can break out of bearish 4-hour market structure, let's say we do something like this, pop back like this, consolidation, breakout, something like this. Okay, so those are kind of the trades I'm looking for on GMX. I'm not sure if I'll end up taking any. I feel kind of okay with my current risk on it, but it's still probably one of the best projects on Arbitrum. What are those indicators and what are your favorites? So my suite of indicators is pretty simple. We use a set of exponential moving averages from 8 to 60, where I think it's like 8, 13, 15, 21, 30, 38, 42, 50, 60. It's something like that. It'll show them all in my settings. Here you go. But the only ones you really need, in my opinion, are the 8, the 30, and the 60, right? You basically get the bands with just those three. This kind of just gives it a better visual. And then these two down here are not EMAs. They're regular moving averages. The 200, which every trader is basically using the 200. Either they're using the 200 EMA or the 200 moving average like this one. It's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then this red moving average, almost nobody has. This is pi, right? It's a 314 period moving average. This is pi, 3.14, right? So it's just pi times 100. Okay, and that gives us a pi, long-term pi moving average. Right, and that's basically my suite. And then we have a slow stochastic, which if you load up a regular stochastic, you know, it's going to look a little bit different. It's a bit harder to read. It's a bit more jarring, especially with regards to the dynamic line. I like the way that the slow stochastic flows a lot better. I think it's much easier to read, and I think it gives you a little bit of an earlier advantage when it comes to the crosses. Like here, you cross up basically at the low, versus this stochastic, you cross up after you've already started to bounce a little bit. I just think you get a little bit of a better, cleaner read. So the way you would use this is you pull up a stochastic, and you can get a slow stochastic. I use Claudino's. And we're going to have this on our Blockcircle platform too. But if you want to just do it yourself, you just come into a regular stochastic and you change the settings to 553. Okay, and that's going to give you a much smoother, or you can do 1053, which is also very nice. But I find this to be 1053 a little bit too slow for my liking. Right? Like here you get a cross up when this one's already like halfway through its move. So 553 stochastic I think is the best settings. And then I have a T3 CCI, which is just the commodity channel index, but it's been adjusted for crypto settings. So you change the length to 31, right? Crypto's open 24/7, so we need a longer length than you would for regular markets, which are only open, I believe, 20 days of the month. So we do 31. And then, you know, I use the histogram. I personally like that you can see exact data points a lot clearer than you can on the line. So you just change this to a histogram. But, you know, the line works just as well. And I also get rid of the background and everything except the zero line. So this is it. The T3 CCI versus the regular CCI, it calculates it a little bit different. So like you can see the difference in the extremities here versus here. So if you want that one, it's fully public indicator. I think my buddy Bagsy showed me it. Is this the right one? Yeah, this is the right one. I just changed the settings. Again, these settings that the regular T3 CCI has are not going to be the ones you want to use. You're going to want to use 31 for the days. Keep the 61.8 and keep the 5. Okay? And this is just a momentum indicator, right? It's the same. It's pretty much the same as using an RSI. I just find the CCI to be a little bit more accurate and give better signals. So the way you want to read this is, a simple way is to be playing the long side when you're trending above the zero line. And good chances to add are when you get little pullbacks and momentum, and then you get an uptick. An uptick plus a cycle cross plus a hold of the EMAs plus a close back of the 8, you know, stuff like that. When you get a bunch of confluence across your indicators, that's when you want to hit it. Okay. And then the same rules apply for any momentum indicator. You know, you want to watch for divergence in price and price and momentum. That can give you some decent signals. You know, we had another nice one here under the lows. Huge divergence. So when you notice the divergence is growing and you get an uptick, right? You see how this one ticks back in the positive direction. That lines up with this. That confirms your momentum reversal. And then you'd go into like a 15-minute and you'd look for a good setup, which would be right here. And then you have the same thing happening on your 15-minute where you're looking for that entry, right? You're getting the uptick in momentum. You're getting the cycle cross. And then you're getting a good candle setup. Right? All that just from one little momentum divergence on the 4-hour. So, again, you don't need this stuff. You know, some of this is too complicated. For some people, this is just going to overcomplicate it. Not everyone needs this stuff. But for me, I find I'm able to make pretty good use of the confluence between indicators. That it does give me a better edge in the market. If it, you know, if you try it out and you find it's not giving you an edge, don't feel like you have to use it. There's plenty of people trading extremely well, making a lot of money, and they're not using these indicators. Flip side, I've used these indicators for years, and my old mentor used them for 20 years and had great success. So, you know, they clearly work, and they can give you an edge if used properly. All right. Any more questions? So I'm about to obliterate my britches here. Oh. But man, I'm genuinely so stoked for you guys to check out the platform. I'm sure Basil wouldn't be too upset if I went through some of these. I might not even be logged in anymore though. Let me double check if I reload the page. I don't really feel like relogging in. No, it's still loading. I can give a small peek. Essentially, I won't dive into too much of it, but we're gonna have a ton of different things you can do with data that you cannot do on any other platform. Specifically, the NFT stuff. I'm not gonna dive into that yet, just because I'm not sure if Basil's ready for me to show off. But like, you would open this up. You know, you want to look at DeFi total value locked, and you can view a bunch of different statistics and data points on all this. You can compare it across all different types of ecosystems. You want to look at Yield Yak and Trader Joe yield on AVAX and compare that to Vector Finance yield on AVAX as well. Boom, you can do it. You want to look at total value locked by each specific blockchain. You can do it, right? And this is all just one category of 3 inside one category of a bajillion. Oh, you want to add your own metric and compare that to another metric we have? Boom, you go to the workbench. You want to go see a bunch of different things in one place, 5 or 6 different charts. You go to the dashboard, which I'm actually not I was about to show it, but I'm not going to show that because I'm not sure if it's fully running. Oh, it is. Okay. So you'd go in, you'd add your dashboard. You want to have a Bitcoin testament. Perfect. And it'll show you, certain analytics that you want all on one page. You can scroll down. You can have videos embedded here, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be dope. Basil, if you're watching this and you didn't want me to sneak peek it, sorry about that, but the people want to know. The people want to know what's coming. So we gotta give them a little tease, my guy, But anyways, it's going to be badass. It's going to be included with your guys' membership in the chat, so every one of you guys will get to use it. It's going to be super dope. I can't wait for you guys to see it. But, probably still a month or 2 out. We're still trying to make sure all of our data sources are proper and that everything's visualized how we want to and all that good stuff. But yeah, anyways, that about does it for me. Nothing else here I really want to talk about. Last little note would be just don't feel like you have to be in a trade at all times. And I suffer from this as much as anyone else. The fear of missing out and the fear of, oh, this is the generational bottom. I know we've been going sideways for a year, and that every time we thought it was generational bottom, it wasn't. But this is the generational bottom. I gotta hit it. No, you probably don't. You know, and if you're holding on to some little shit coins like I am, if this ends up being generational bottom, some of these are gonna fly, and you're gonna make good money. So don't feel like you have to nail a 10x long on Bitcoin right now. Like, it's probably not going to end well. Bassel's going to kick me out, bro. Bassel can't kick me out. You're out of your damn mind. But, yeah, that's about all I got for you guys. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I appreciate each and every one of you, except Green Tea, tuning in today. You guys are the GOATs. I hope you trade real safe this week. Don't do anything that feels too risky. Let's wait and see how all this Fed shit blows over tomorrow before we make any big decisions. Okay? But, yeah, that's about it. I appreciate you guys, and I will catch you in the next stream. Should have a video out in a couple of days in the chat, too, if you guys feel like you missed anything. All right? So, peace out. I'll catch you.